Chapter 1. The Rise of a Genius. William Waters stared at the lines of code scrolling across his monitors, his reflection ghostly in the dim glow of multiple screens. The office stood silent except for the gentle hum of servers and his fingers flying across the keyboard. At 3 a.m., he was exactly where he needed to be, alone with his creation. "Run simulation Alpha 7, he commanded softly, watching as numbers flooded the screen. The algorithm processed millions of data points, predicting market movements with uncanny accuracy. 5 years of his life had led to this moment. His phone buzzed. Another missed call from Juana. He silenced it without looking, his attention fixed on the results appearing before him. The simulation showed a 98.7% accuracy rate, his highest yet. "Sir?" Luis Craig's voice broke through his concentration. His most trusted developer stood in the doorway, clutching a stack of reports. "The board meeting starts in 4 hours. You should get some rest." William didn't turn around. "Send in the latest results to my tablet. I'll review them before the presentation." "Mr. Waters." Luis hesitated. "Your brother Glenn called. He said he's looking forward to seeing your presentation." William's jaw tightened. Of course Glenn would be there. Father's golden child never missed an opportunity to remind everyone of his presence. "Thank you, Luis. That will be all." As Luis's footsteps faded away, William pulled up his email. Another message from Juana. "Dinner with your family tonight. Don't forget like last time. Please, William. I can't keep making excuses for you." He started typing a response but stopped. What could he say? That he was busy revolutionizing financial technology? That his work would secure their future? She'd heard it all before. The algorithm beeped, drawing his attention back to the screens. Another successful prediction. William allowed himself a small smile. Let Glenn charm the board with his smooth talk. William had something better. He had results. Hours later, William stood before the board of directors, his presentation crisp and methodical. Numbers didn't lie, and his numbers were perfect. He guided them through complex charts and graphs, watching their expressions shift from skepticism to interest. "Remarkable work, William," said Margaret Shin, head of operations. "These accuracy rates are unprecedented." From the corner of his eye, William caught Glenn's smirk. His brother lounged in his chair, perfectly tailored suit matching his carefully cultivated image of success. "Indeed, dear brother," Glenn drawled. "Though I wonder if we're perhaps being too optimistic about these projections." Before William could respond, their father, Hal Durham, cleared his throat. "Glenn raises a valid point. William, these numbers seem almost too good to be true." William maintained his composure, though his fingers tightened around the presentation remote. "The algorithm has been tested extensively. I can provide detailed documentation of every trial. Numbers on paper are one thing," Glenn interjected. "Real-world application is another entirely. Remember the Fisher account?" A low blow. The Fisher account had been Glenn's responsibility, but somehow the failure had been pinned on William's overly complex trading strategies. William met his brother's gaze steadily. "This is different. The algorithm adapts and learns. It's already generating profits in controlled trials." "Enough," Hal said, raising a hand. "William, proceed with implementation, but start small. Glenn, oversee the rollout. Make sure everything runs smoothly." William's protest died in his throat as Glenn's smile widened. Of course, father would never trust him completely. He needed his precious firstborn to supervise. The meeting concluded, and William gathered his materials, avoiding the clusters of board members congratulating themselves on their decision. He needed to get back to his office, back to his code. "William," Glenn's voice boomed across the conference room. "Want to mention dinner tonight? You'll be there, won't you?" "Father's expecting everyone." William turned slowly. "I have work to finish." "All work and no play, brother." Glenn clapped him on the shoulder, his grip slightly too tight. "You know how father feels about family obligations." "I'll be there," William said, shrugging off Glenn's hand. He caught a flash of something in his brother's eyes. Satisfaction? Anticipation? Before he could analyze it further, Glenn had moved on, charming a group of board members with some anecdote. Back in his office, William immersed himself in code. letting the familiar patterns soothe his irritation. The algorithm was beautiful in its complexity, each line a testament to his vision. He'd created something extraordinary, something that would transform the industry. Mr. Waters? Luis appeared again, concern evident in his expression. Your wife called. She wanted to remind you about dinner. I know about dinner, William snapped, then softened his tone. Sorry, Luis. It's been a long day. No apology needed, sir. Luis hesitated. If I may, the algorithm's running perfectly. The automated systems can handle monitoring for one evening. William leaned back in his chair, studying his most loyal employee. Luis had been with him from the beginning, understanding the importance of their work. You're right. Set up the remote monitoring on my phone. I'll head home to change. The drive home gave William time to think. The algorithm was his masterpiece, the culmination of countless sleepless nights and sacrificed weekends. It would prove his worth to everyone, to his father, to Glenn, to Juana. He found Juana in their bedroom, applying makeup with precise movements. She met his eyes in the mirror but didn't turn around. You're late. I'm here, aren't I? He moved to his closet, selecting a suit. The board approved the algorithm. Congratulations, she said, her tone flat. I'm sure Glenn will do a wonderful job overseeing its implementation. William paused in the act of choosing a tie. You've spoken to Glenn? He called to confirm dinner. Juana stood, smoothing her dress. He always calls to check on things. Unlike some people, the implication hung in the air between them. William chose his next words carefully. The algorithm will change everything, Juana. Once it's fully operational. Save it for the board, William. She brushed past him, her perfume lingering. We're already late for dinner. Try to be present tonight, at least physically if not mentally. They drove to his father's house in silence. William's mind wandered to the algorithm, to the countless possibilities it presented. With the right application, they could dominate the market. He just needed time to prove its worth. Hal's mansion loomed before them, a testament to old money and older expectations. Glenn's car already sat in the circular driveway, gleaming under perfectly positioned landscape lighting. William, Juana. Glenn emerged from the front door, arms spread wide in welcome. Father was starting to worry you wouldn't make it. William noticed how Glenn's gaze lingered on Juana, how his brother's smile seemed to soften when addressing her. But surely that was just Glenn's natural charm, the same charm that had won over the board countless times. Inside, Hal waited in his study, brandy in hand. William finally decided to join the land of the living? The algorithm, William began. Yes, your precious algorithm. Hal waved dismissively. Glenn's been telling me his plans for implementation. Quite impressive, actually. William's hands clenched at his sides. Glenn's plans? I developed the algorithm. I know how best to. You're the technical mind, son, Hal interrupted. But Glenn understands people, markets, the bigger picture. Together, you'll make it work. Assuming you can spare time from your computer to actually work with your brother. Before William could respond, Glenn appeared with Juana, both laughing at some shared joke. Father, you won't believe what Juana just told me about her charity work. She's absolutely brilliant with organization. William watched as his father's expression softened, approval radiating from every pore. Of course, Glenn knew exactly how to play to their father's expectations of a proper family. Dinner proceeded with excruciating slowness. Glenn dominated the conversation, skillfully weaving between business success stories and personal anecdotes. William noticed how often his brother's stories seemed to include Juana, how frequently they exchanged glances. William, Glenn said suddenly, you've been quiet. Surely you can tear yourself away from mental coding long enough to join the conversation? I prefer action to endless talk, William replied coldly. Actions speak louder than words. Isn't that right? Glenn raised his glass. To family and to new beginnings. Something in Glenn's tone sent a chill down William's spine. He looked at Juana, but she was staring at her plate, a slight flush coloring her cheeks. Later that night, reviewing security footage from his office, William noticed something odd. Glenn had visited while William was at dinner, spending several minutes at William's computer. Zooming in, William watched his brother insert a flash drive, downloading files. A quick check of his system logs confirmed that Glenn had copied the algorithm's core components. But why? The board had already approved the project. William's phone buzzed with a message from Luis. Sir, you need to see this. Unauthorized access attempts detected in the offshore accounts. The pieces began falling into place. William pulled up the account records, tracking the digital breadcrumbs. Someone had been probing the hidden accounts he'd established during the company's lean years, accounts containing millions in untraceable funds. His office phone rang. Shauna Willis, Juana's best friend. William, we need to talk. It's about Glenn and Juana. And I think you should know they've hired investigators to look into your past. William sat back in his chair, pieces clicking into place. So this was Glenn's game. Steal the algorithm, discredit its creator, and claim the glory for himself. And Juana, William thought of all the lingering glances, the shared laughs, the late-night phone calls. He opened his desk drawer, removing a small black notebook. Inside were contingency plans, fail-safes he'd created but hoped never to use. His brother wanted to play? Fine. William would show him what real power looked like. Luis, he called out. Cancel my meetings tomorrow. We have work to do. The time for brotherhood was over. William Waters was going to war. Chapter 2. The Web Titans. Luis Craig sat across from William in a dimly lit bar far from their usual corporate haunts. The place reeked of stale beer and broken dreams, perfect for conversations that shouldn't be overheard. You understand what you're suggesting is illegal, Luis said, his voice barely above a whisper. He clutched his untouched whiskey, knuckles white against the glass. William's face remained impassive. I'm suggesting survival. Glenn's already moved against us. The question is, are you with me, or do I need to handle this alone? Luis studied his boss, no, his friend. 5 years they'd worked together, building something revolutionary. What exactly would you need? Access. Untraceable. William slid a USB drive across the table. The system has vulnerabilities. Small ones. Exploitable. You want me to create backdoors in our own security? Luis grabbed his drink, downed it in one gulp. They'll trace it back to us. No, they won't. William's confidence sent chills down Luis's spine. Because we'll be the ones investigating the breaches. Who better to find nothing than the people who created the nothing to find? Across town, Juana paced in Shauna's living room, wringing her hands. I can't keep doing this, Shauna. The lies, the secrets. It's eating me alive. Then end it, Shauna said sharply. Tell Glenn it's over. Go home to your husband. It's not that simple. Juana collapsed onto the couch. William, he's not the man I married. He's become this machine, this cold, calculating thing that only cares about his precious algorithm. And Glenn's better? Shauna's tone dripped with skepticism. The man who's systematically destroying his own brother? Glenn loves me, Juana whispered, but doubt crept into her voice. He sees me, really sees me. He sees an opportunity, Shauna muttered, then louder. William needs to know, before it's too late. No. Juana grabbed Shauna's arm. Promise me you won't tell him. Promise me. Shauna extracted herself from Juana's grip. I won't promise anything. William deserves to know the truth. Back at the office, William's plan began taking shape. Small glitches appeared in the trading system, nothing major, just enough to raise eyebrows. Documents went missing, only to reappear in the wrong departments. Emails arrived corrupted, or not at all. Sir. Luis appeared in William's doorway, tablet in hand. The first reports are coming in. Trading desk complaining about delayed executions. Standard debugging procedure. William replied without looking up. Document everything. Forward the serious complaints to Glenn's department. Glenn's already asking questions. He wants a full security audit. Let him ask. William finally looked up, a cold smile playing at his lips. In fact, encourage it. The more he investigates, the more threads he'll find to pull. The elevator dinged, and Hal Durham strode onto the floor, his presence commanding immediate attention. He made a beeline for William's office, brushing past Luis without acknowledgement. A word, son. It wasn't a request. William gestured to the chair across from his desk. Father, to what do I owe the pleasure?
Cut the act.
Hal's voice could have frozen mercury. What game are you playing? Game? William's expression remained neutral. I'm implementing my algorithm, as approved by the board. Don't play dumb. It doesn't suit you. Hal leaned forward. Systems don't just start failing for no reason. Not systems you built. Technology can be unpredictable, William replied smoothly. Perhaps if Glenn hadn't insisted on rushing the implementation. Watch yourself, Hal warned. Your brother knows what he's doing. He's trying to save this company from your obsessions. William's laugh held no humor. Is that what he told you? That he's saving the company? Ask him about the offshore accounts, Father. Ask him where the money's really going. Hal's face reddened. You're walking a dangerous line, boy. Glenn has proven himself time and again. You hide in your office with your computers, avoiding family, neglecting your wife. Get out. William's voice could have cut diamond. Get out before I forget you're my father. Hal stood, straightening his jacket. You're your mother's son, William. Always thinking you're smarter than everyone else. It'll be your downfall. After Hal left, William sat in silence, letting rage fuel his resolve. His phone buzzed, Marcia Goodman, requesting an urgent meeting. He found her in the company gym, running on a treadmill well past normal hours. She didn't stop when he approached, just increased the speed. They're going to try to force you out, she said between breaths. Glenn's been meeting with board members individually. Private dinners, golf games, building support. Let them try. William watched her punishing pace. Why are you telling me this? Marcia hit the stop button, grabbing her towel. Because Glenn's a snake. 3 years ago, he blacklisted my protege, brilliant kid. Caught Glenn cooking books for the Fisher account. Kid lost everything, ended up in rehab. You have proof?
Had.
She wiped her face. Glenn's thorough about cleaning up his messes. But I remember. And I'm not the only one. William nodded slowly. How would you like to help make things right? At home, William found Juana waiting in the kitchen, a glass of wine in hand. Late meeting? Something like that. He studied his wife, noting the slight tremor in her hand as she lifted the glass. Glenn sends his regards? The glass paused halfway to her lips. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. William poured himself a drink. Just noticed you two seemed quite close at dinner the other night. Don't. Juana set her glass down hard enough to slosh wine onto the counter. Don't you dare question my loyalty when you can't even be bothered to come home most nights. Loyalty? William's voice remained eerily calm. Interesting choice of words. Before she could respond, his phone rang. Shauna's number. He answered, watching Juana's face pale. William? Shauna's voice shook. We need to talk. It's about Glenn and Juana. They've hired people to investigate you. They're planning something. William kept his eyes locked on his wife as he replied. Thank you, Shauna. I'll handle it. Juana was trembling now. William, He held up a hand, silencing her. Without another word, he turned and walked to his home office, locking the door behind him. His laptop showed multiple alerts, Luis warning him about increased system probes, Marcia confirming board meeting dates, and most importantly, a notification that someone had accessed his private server. William pulled up the security logs, tracking the intrusion attempt. The IP address traced back to a familiar location, Glenn's home office. His brother was getting sloppy, desperate. Opening his email, William composed a message to the board, attaching carefully selected documents suggesting irregularities in Glenn's department. Nothing concrete, just enough to plant seeds of doubt. His phone buzzed again. Another message from Luis. Sir, Glenn's downloading large amounts of data from the trading servers. Should I block access? No. William typed back. Let him dig his own grave. Just make sure to log everything. A soft knock at his office door. William? Juana's voice, thick with tears. Please, we need to talk. He didn't respond, instead pulling up the offshore account records. The accounts held enough money to destroy Glenn 10 times over. The question was, when a strike? Another message from Shauna appeared. Glenn's planning a major announcement at tomorrow's charity gala. Something about him and Juana. William's hands stilled over the keyboard. So, the endgame was approaching faster than expected. Fine. He was ready. Opening his black notebook, he began making calls. By morning, Glenn would learn exactly who he was dealing with. William Waters didn't lose. Not to traders, not to brothers, not to anyone. The next day would change everything. Let them think they had the upper hand. William smiled in the darkness of his office, a predator's smile that never reached his eyes. The real game was just beginning. Chapter 3. The First Strike. The charity gala buzzed with artificial laughter and clinking champagne glasses. William adjusted his cufflinks, surveying the crowd from his position near the bar. Every major player in the financial world had turned out, eager to witness what Glenn had promised would be an announcement that would reshape the company's future. Whiskey, neat, William told the bartender, never taking his eyes off the entrance. His phone vibrated, a message from Luis. Package delivered to SEC. They're reviewing it now. William allowed himself a small smile. The anonymous tip about Glenn's financial irregularities would keep his brother busy for the foreseeable future. The evidence was masterfully crafted. Just enough truth mixed with carefully constructed lies to warrant a full investigation. William. Marcia Goodman appeared at his elbow, resplendent in a black evening gown. Glenn's people are spreading rumors. They're saying you've lost control of the algorithm, that it's generating unstable results. Let them talk. William sipped his whiskey. Actions speak louder than rumors. You seem remarkably calm for someone about to be blindsided. William's eyes narrowed. Who says I'm the one being blindsided? Before Marcia could respond, a hush fell over the crowd. Glenn had arrived, and on his arm, William's grip tightened on his glass, was Juana, wearing a red dress he'd never seen before. They made quite the picture. Glenn in his perfectly tailored tuxedo, Juana glowing with nervous energy. They moved through the crowd like royalty, accepting congratulations from people who had no idea what they were congratulating them for. Not yet. William. Glenn's voice boomed across the room. Brother, come, join us. This is a family moment, after all. William approached slowly, cataloging every detail. The way Glenn's hand rested possessively on Juana's lower back, the slight tremor in Juana's smile, the expectant hush that had fallen over the gathering crowd. Glenn. William's voice carried just enough warmth to pass for brotherly affection. Juana, you look lovely tonight, dear wife. Juana flinched at the emphasis on wife. Glenn's smile widened. Ladies and gentlemen, Glenn addressed the crowd, raising his champagne glass. I've gathered you all here tonight for a very special announcement. William's phone buzzed again. He glanced down. SEC officially opening investigation. News breaks in 5 minutes. Louise. Perfect timing. But before my brother steals the spotlight, William interrupted smoothly. I have my own announcement to make. Glenn's smile faltered. William, perhaps we should. The company has just launched a major philanthropic initiative, William continued, his voice carrying to every corner of the room. $50 million, dedicated to supporting technological education for underprivileged youth. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Hal Durham, who had been approaching the group, stopped short. 50 million? Glenn's voice cracked slightly. William, the board never approved. The funds come from my personal accounts, William lied smoothly, though I'm sure the SEC will be very interested in tracing their exact origin. Speaking of which, right on cue, phones throughout the room began buzzing. William watched his faces turn from confusion to shock as the news broke. Breaking. SEC launches investigation into Durham Financial. Sources allege massive fraud. Glenn's face drained of color. What have you done? Me. William's innocence would have convinced a jury. I'm just a humble programmer, remember? You're the one who handles the company's finances. Juana swayed slightly, gripping Glenn's arm. Glenn? What's happening? Nothing, Glenn snapped, then forced a smile. A misunderstanding. William, a word in private? No need for privacy among family, William replied. In fact, since you're so eager to make announcements, why don't you share yours now? I'm sure everyone's dying to hear about you and Juana. The room fell silent. Hal pushed through the crowd, his face thunderous. What is he talking about? Glenn's composure cracked. Father, I can explain. Explain what? William's voice could have frozen hell. How you've been sleeping with my wife. How you plan to announce your engagement tonight. Please, brother. Enlighten us all. Gasps and whispers erupted around them. Juana let out a choked sob, dropping Glenn's arm and stumbling backward. You bastard, Glenn snarled, lunging for William. You planned this. Security intercepted Glenn before he could reach his brother. William stood unmoved, watching the scene unfold with clinical detachment. Glenn Durham? A man in a dark suit stepped forward, flashing a badge. SEC, we need you to come with us. This is ridiculous. Glenn struggled against the security guards. Father, tell them. Tell them this is all William's doing. But Hal Durham wasn't looking at Glenn. He was staring at William with a mixture of horror and, was that pride? You've destroyed this family, Hal said quietly. William met his father's gaze. No, father. I've saved it from itself. William, please. Juana approached him, tears streaming down her face. I can explain. Save it for the divorce lawyers. William turned away from her, addressing the shocked crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the drama. Please, enjoy the rest of your evening. The bar is open. As Glenn was escorted out, still protesting his innocence, William felt Hal's hand on his shoulder. My office.
Now.
In Hal's opulent office, William stood before his father's desk, hands clasped behind his back. The old man hadn't spoken since they'd arrived, just poured 2 glasses of scotch and stared out the window. You were always the smarter one, Hal finally said. Too smart for your own good, just like your mother. Is that why you never trusted me? William's voice remained neutral. Why you always favored Glenn? Hal turned, sliding 1 glass across the desk. Glenn was predictable. Safe. You I could never control. And now? Hal laughed bitterly. Now you've proven exactly how dangerous you are. He reached into his desk, pulling out a folder. The company ownership papers. I was going to give them to Glenn tonight. After his announcement, William picked up the papers, scanning them quickly. Let me guess, I was to be bought out? Pushed aside? You were always meant to be the backup plan, Hal admitted. The safety net in case Glenn failed. William placed the papers back on the desk. And now? Hal downed his scotch. Now you've destroyed your brother's career, exposed company secrets to the SEC, and torn this family apart. Congratulations, son. You've won. No, William replied, turning to leave. This isn't about winning. This is about justice. Justice? Hal called after him. Is that what you call revenge? William paused at the door. You taught us that business is war, father. I just happened to be better at it than Glenn. He left Hal's office, ignoring the old man's response. His phone buzzed with messages. From Luis. SEC has frozen company assets. Glenn's access has been revoked. From Shauna. Juana's having a breakdown. She's threatening to go to the press. From Marcia. Board emergency meeting called for tomorrow. They want you to take control. William deleted them all. In his office, he pulled up the offshore account records. The real money, the untraceable millions he'd hidden away, remained safe and secure. Let the SEC investigate. They'd find nothing but what he wanted them to find. Opening his laptop, he began typing. To the board of directors. In light of recent events, I am prepared to assume full control of operations. The night stretched before him, full of possibilities. Glenn had taught him an important lesson. Trust no one. Love no one. Power was the only constant, and William Waters now held it all in his hands. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning. But Act 1 had reached its bloody conclusion, and William had emerged victorious. Let them call him cruel, calculating, ruthless. He'd rather be feared than loved. After all, he was his father's son. Chapter 4. The Tables Turn. Roman Hewitt paced Glenn Durham's temporary office, a converted hotel suite that reeked of desperation and stale coffee. His expensive suit couldn't hide the predatory grace of a man who solved problems permanently. You're telling me, Roman said, tapping a thick folder against his palm, That your brother orchestrated this entire situation? The SEC investigation, the scandal, everything? Glenn slumped in his chair, his usually immaculate appearance showing signs of strain. William's always been calculating.
But this.
He gestured at the papers scattered across the desk. This is different. He's trying to destroy me. He's succeeding. Roman dropped the folder on the desk. The evidence linking you to financial misconduct is impeccable.
Too impeccable.
Meaning? Meaning your brother planted it? Roman leaned against the desk. Problem is, proving that would implicate him in fraud, which would tank the company's stock even further. Glenn ran his hands through his disheveled hair. Then what do you suggest? We have something better. Roman pulled out a USB drive. Your brother's not as clever as he thinks. My team found traces of his original sabotage, the system glitches, the corrupted files. With this, we can prove he deliberately damaged company assets. A spark of hope lit Glenn's eyes, but faded quickly. The press would crucify us. Brothers destroy company in personal vendetta. Stock would plummet.
Unless.
Roman's smile showed too many teeth. Unless we time it right. Release the evidence during a major market upswing, when investors are feeling confident.
Position it as you discovering and stopping corporate espionage.
Before Glenn could respond, his phone buzzed. His face darkened as he read the message. William just leaked documents suggesting I have illegal offshore accounts. Do you? Of course not. Glenn slammed his fist on the desk. He's the one who set up those accounts years ago. I found proof, but using it would prove you accessed his private files without authorization, Roman finished. Your brother plays chess while others play checkers. A knock at the door interrupted them. Juana entered, her designer clothes hanging loose on her frame. Dark circles under her eyes betrayed sleepless nights. Glenn? Her voice trembled. I just got served with divorce papers. William? He's demanding I forfeit all assets. He's claiming I violated the prenup. Let me handle this. Glenn moved to embrace her, but she stepped back. Handle it? Like you handled the SEC investigation? Tears threatened to fall. My accounts are frozen. My credit card's canceled. I can't even access my own money. That's what William does, Glenn spat. He doesn't just defeat his enemies. He obliterates them. Roman watched the exchange with clinical interest. Mrs. Waters. It's still Mrs. Waters, Juana snapped. Despite what Glenn promised. Mrs. Waters, Roman continued smoothly, your husband's actions might actually help us. His aggressive response could be positioned as a vindictive abuse of power. You don't know William, Juana whispered. He'll have anticipated that. He anticipates everything. As if on cue, Glenn's laptop chimed with a news alert. His face went pale as he read it. What? Roman moved to look at the screen. What now? William just donated $50 million to various children's charities. Glenn laughed bitterly. In my name. Using funds from those offshore accounts he claims I control.
That's.
Roman paused, admiring the elegance of the move. That's actually brilliant. He's made you either a philanthropist or a fraud. Deny the donation, you look heartless. Acknowledge it, you admit to the accounts. Juana sank into a chair, burying her face in her hands. I should never have listened to you, Glenn. We should have just. Should have what? Glenn rounded on her. Stayed in our lanes? Played our roles? Let William treat us like pawns in his grand game? He was my husband. Juana's voice rose to a shout. He may have been distant, obsessed with work, but he never deliberately hurt me. Not until you betrayed him, Roman finished quietly.
With his brother, no less.
Silence fell over the room, broken only by Juana's quiet sobs. Roman pulled out his phone, scrolling through messages. We have another problem, he announced. My sources say William's been meeting with Natasha Hickman. Glenn froze. The prosecutor? Former prosecutor, current head of the SEC's enforcement division. Roman showed them a surveillance photo of William leaving a restaurant with an elegant woman. They had dinner last night. 3 hours of conversation. He's turning himself in? Hope crept into Glenn's voice. More likely he's cutting a deal, Roman corrected. Offering up evidence against you in exchange for immunity. Juana stood abruptly. I need air. I can't. I can't handle this right now. They watched her leave, her normally confident stride reduced to an unsteady shuffle. She's a liability, Roman said once the door closed. She knows too much. She's also my fiancée, Glenn growled. She's your brother's wife, Roman corrected. And right now, she's one conversation with the SEC away from destroying everything. Glenn's phone buzzed again. His face contorted as he read the message. Williams calling an emergency board meeting. Tomorrow morning. Topic: leadership transition. Glenn threw the phone across the room. He's making his final move. Roman retrieved the phone, checking for damage. Not final. We still have our evidence. Will it be enough? Against a normal opponent?
Yes.
Roman sat across from Glenn. But your brother, he's different. He thinks differently. What do you mean? Most people play to win, Roman explained. William plays to annihilate. Look at his pattern. He didn't just expose your affair. He did it at a public event. Didn't just freeze Juana's accounts. He's stripping her of everything. Didn't just report you to the SEC. He's systematically destroying your reputation. So what do we do? Roman's smile returned, cold and calculating. We stop playing his game. No more corporate maneuvering, no more legal battles. We hit him where he least expects it. How? Your brother's strength is his mind.
His plans within plans.
Roman leaned forward. But what happens to a genius when his carefully constructed world starts unraveling? When random elements enter his equation? Understanding dawned in Glenn's eyes. You want to go outside the law. I want to introduce chaos into his ordered universe. Roman pulled out another phone, a burner. I know people who specialize in that kind of disruption. It could backfire, Glenn warned.
Make things worse.
Worse than losing everything? Roman gestured at the hotel room. Worse than watching your brother systematically destroy your life? Glenn stared at the burner phone for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. Do it. Whatever it takes. Sir? Glenn's assistant poked her head in. Mr. Waters, William Waters, just released another statement. He's returning all executive bonuses from the past 5 years. Claims it's part of a new transparency initiative. Glenn's hand closed around the burner phone. Make the calls, he told Roman. It's time my brother learned he's not the only one who can play rough. Roman nodded, already dialing. In his experience, men like William Waters had one critical weakness. They never expected their victims to abandon the rules completely. That was about to change. The chess game was over. Now it was time for war. Chapter 5. Allies and Enemies. Hal Durham's hands shook as he signed the retirement papers, each stroke of the pen marking the end of an era. Board members watched in tense silence as he pushed the documents across the table. As my final act as chairman, Hal's voice carried across the boardroom, I appoint William Waters as interim CEO, effective immediately. The proclamation hit Glenn like a physical blow. He half rose from his seat, face contorted with rage. Father, you can't. Sit down, Glenn. Hal's command cracked like a whip. I've made my decision. William stood, buttoning his jacket. Thank you, Father. I accept the position and all its responsibilities. This is insanity, Glenn sputtered. He's under investigation. No, brother. William interrupted smoothly. You're under investigation. The SEC has found no evidence linking me to any financial misconduct. Marcia Goodman cleared her throat. If I may, the trading division's numbers support William's appointment. Under his oversight, our risk metrics have improved significantly. Risk metrics? Glenn laughed bitterly. He sabotaged our systems. Roman, show them. Mr. Durham, Roman interjected, his expression carefully neutral. Perhaps this isn't the best time. William's lips curved slightly. Please, Glenn, share whatever evidence Mr. Hewitt has gathered. I'm sure the board would be fascinated. Glenn subsided, understanding the trap. Any evidence against William would implicate Glenn in corporate espionage. If there are no other objections, William continued, I'd like to outline my vision for the company's future. As William commanded the room's attention, Juana slipped out quietly. She found herself in the empty break room, hands trembling as she poured coffee. Rough morning. She spun to find Marcia watching her from the doorway. I don't need your judgment, Juana snapped.
Good, because I'm not offering any.
Marcia entered, closing the door. I'm offering a warning.
William's not done yet.
What more can he take? He's frozen my accounts, initiated divorce proceedings, and now he controls the company that holds your family trust, Marcia finished. Did you read the fine print on your inheritance? The one that gives the CEO discretionary power over disbursements. Juana's coffee cup clattered to the counter. He wouldn't dare. The William you knew wouldn't, Marcia agreed. But this William? The one you and Glenn created? He'll burn down the world to make you pay. Back in the boardroom, William was concluding his presentation. By restructuring our trading algorithms and implementing stricter oversight, we can restore investor confidence within 6 months. And what about the SEC investigation? A board member asked. A regrettable necessity, William replied. One that will reveal certain individuals' misconduct while confirming the company's overall integrity. Glenn stood abruptly. This is a witch hunt. He's manipulating everyone.
Glenn.
Hal's quiet voice cut through his son's protest.
Enough.
As the board filed out, Roman approached William. A word in private? William gestured to his new office, previously Hal's sanctuary. After you. Once inside, Roman's professional mask slipped slightly. Impressive performance. Almost makes me forget how you orchestrated this entire situation. Careful, Mr. Hewitt. William settled behind the desk. Accusations without evidence are just hot air. What if I told you I have evidence? Proof of your system sabotage, your manipulation of company data? I'd say using illegally obtained evidence is a dangerous game. William's voice hardened. One that might lead to uncomfortable questions about your own past activities. Roman's smile faltered. You've been investigating me. Did Glenn really think I wouldn't? William opened a folder. Panama City, 2018. Bangkok, 2020. Interesting pattern of solving problems permanently. Those cases were never proven.
Yet.
William closed the folder. So, shall we discuss your immediate retirement from this situation? Before Roman could respond, Luis burst in. Sir, we have a problem. Someone's attacking our servers. William's expression didn't change. Initiate Protocol 0. Sir, that will shut down all trading operations. Do it. William turned back to Roman. You should go. Things are about to get complicated. In the IT department, chaos reigned. Screens flickered with error messages as technicians fought to contain the breach. Report, William commanded. Luis pulled up diagnostic screens. Sophisticated attack. They're not just trying to crash our systems. They're trying to extract data. Glenn's last desperate move, William mused. Or rather, Roman's. Sir? Luis looked up, confused. Glenn lacks the resources for this kind of attack. But Roman has connections, particularly in certain dark web circles. What do we do? William smiled coldly. Spring the trap. Meanwhile, Juana sat in her lawyer's office, staring at papers that would strip her of everything. Mrs. Waters, the lawyer said gently, these terms, they're unusually punitive. He wants me broken, Juana whispered. Not just divorced, destroyed. There might be room to negotiate.
No.
Juana grabbed a pen. William doesn't negotiate. Not anymore. She signed quickly, before tears could blur her vision. Across town, Glenn paced his hotel room as Roman delivered the news. The attack failed? Worse, Roman growled. It was a trap. They were ready, had countermeasures in place. They traced it back to our contractors. Can it be linked to us? Not directly, but Roman's phone buzzed. His face went pale as he read the message. What? Glenn demanded. What now? Your brother just donated another $100 million to charity. In your name. From accounts that definitely don't exist. He's toying with us, Glenn realized. Like a cat with mice. No, Roman corrected. He's forcing our hand, making us desperate, waiting for us to make a mistake. Glenn's phone rang. Hal's number. His hands shook as he answered. Glenn. His father's voice sounded tired. Come to the house. We need to talk. Father, I can explain. Now, Glenn. Before your brother takes everything. In William's new office, Marcia delivered her report. Glenn's heading to your father's house. Roman made 3 calls to known associates. And Juana signed the papers. William nodded, reviewing data on his tablet. And our other project? Complete. Marcia smiled grimly. Carrie McKenna has everything she needs for her exposé. The evidence painting Glenn as the mastermind behind the offshore accounts is irrefutable. Excellent. William set down the tablet. Now we wait. For what? For them to realize there's no way out. William turned to the window. For the moment when they understand that everything, the SEC investigation, the system breach, even their desperate counterattacks, was part of my plan, and then, William's reflection showed no emotion. Then I take everything they have left. Everything they are. The pieces were in place. The trap was set. Let them plot and scheme and rage against the inevitable. William Waters had transcended revenge. This was justice, cold and absolute. The end of Act 2 approached, but William's war was far from over. The real pain was yet to come. Chapter 6. The Final Gambit. William stood before a sea of reporters, his composure unshakable as camera flashes punctuated the tense atmosphere of the emergency press conference. Yes, offshore accounts exist, he acknowledged, his voice steady and measured. They were established as a contingency measure during market volatility. Their purpose was to protect our investors' interests, nothing more. Mr. Waters, a reporter called out. Sources suggest these accounts contain millions in untraceable funds. How do you respond? I respond with transparency. William gestured to the screens behind him, displaying complex financial charts. These accounts are now fully disclosed in our public filings. Their existence protected the company during turbulent times. In the back of the room, Carrie McKenna scribbled notes furiously. Her phone buzzed with messages from her editor, demanding updates on her investigation. Mr. Waters, Carrie stood. Isn't it true that these accounts were accessed regularly during your brother's tenure as CEO? William's pause was perfectly calculated. I believe the SEC investigation will address questions of account access and authorization. The press conference continued, but Carrie slipped out, her mind racing. In her office, she spread her evidence across her desk, bank statements, internal memos, witness testimonies. The story seemed clear. Glenn Durham, the corrupt executive, embezzling funds through secret accounts. Too clear. Her phone rang. An encrypted number she recognized. Talk to me. The Waters case, a gruff voice said. You're being played. By whom? Both brothers. But William, he's the architect. The accounts? They're his creation. Glenn's just the patsy. Carrie's fingers flew across her keyboard, cross-referencing dates. I need proof. Check the original account creation dates. Then check William Waters' travel records from 5 years ago. Pay attention to the Cayman Islands trips. In his new office, William reviewed security footage of the press conference. Luis entered, tablet in hand. Sir, Carrie McKenna's been making calls. Accessing old records. Good. William didn't look up. Let her dig. But sir, if she traces the accounts back to, she won't find anything I don't want her to find. William finally met his assistant's worried gaze. Trust the plan, Luis. Across town, Hal Durham sat in his study, a glass of scotch untouched before him. The door opened, admitting Glenn. You wanted to see me, father? Sit down, Glenn. Hal pushed a folder across his desk. Read it. Glenn opened the folder, his face darkening as he read. These signatures, these authorizations, your brother's work, Hal confirmed. From years ago. He created the offshore structure long before you knew it existed. Then why am I under investigation? Why aren't you showing this to the SEC? Hal laughed bitterly. Because your brother made sure any revelation of his involvement would implicate the entire company. He's positioned himself as the savior, the reformer cleaning up your mess. He's thought of everything, Glenn whispered. No. Hal stood, moving to his safe. He thought of almost everything. The safe opened to reveal stacks of documents, old contracts, bank statements, photographs. I've kept records, Glenn, of everything. including William's early operations. Father, Glenn's eyes widened as he read. This could destroy him. It could destroy all of us, Hal corrected, which is exactly why your brother never thought I'd use it. Meanwhile, Juana sat in her modest apartment, surrounded by moving boxes. Her phone displayed a text from Natasha. Passport ready. Tickets booked.
Last chance.
Her fingers hovered over the reply button when someone knocked. Through the peephole, she saw Roman. Mrs. Waters, he called softly. We need to talk. She opened the door cautiously. What do you want? To offer you a way out. Roman held up a USB drive. Evidence. Real evidence.
Against William.
Why would you give this to me? Because you're the only one he might still have a blind spot for. Roman stepped inside. The only one who might get close enough to use it. Back at the office, William received an urgent message from Marcia. Glenn's leaving your father's house. He has documents. William's response was immediate. Initiate containment protocol. Within minutes, security teams mobilized. Traffic cameras tracked Glenn's car through the city. But something was wrong as Glenn was smiling as he drove. William's phone rang. Carrie McKenna. Mr. Waters, her voice held an edge of triumph. Care to comment on your trips to the Cayman Islands in 2018? Research for a book I never wrote, William replied smoothly. Fascinating banking history there. And the meetings with offshore trustees? Miss McKenna. William's voice hardened. Be very careful about your next story. Accusations without proof can end careers. Oh, I have proof. Carrie's confidence was unshaken. Would you like to know what your father just gave your brother? William's hand tightened on the phone. My father is a tired old man with a failing memory. Your father is a meticulous record keeper. And those records tell a very different story about those offshore accounts. The pieces clicked into place. William ended the call, immediately dialing Luis. Sir? Luis answered instantly. How quickly can you implement Operation Blackout? The nuclear option? Luis hesitated. It would take hours to. You have 30 minutes. In the server room, Luis stared at his screen, fingers poised over the keyboard. Operation Blackout would wipe everything. Records, backups, the entire digital infrastructure of the company. Sir, he typed. This will destroy billions in assets. William's response was immediate. Better destroyed than in their hands. Across the city, various players moved pieces into position. Glenn rushed to meet Carrie McKenna, documents in hand. Roman escorted Juana to a private airfield, the USB drive secure in her purse. Hal Durham made copies of his records, sending them to multiple secure locations. Marcia Goodman accessed encrypted files, preparing for digital warfare. And William Waters sat in his office, watching it all unfold on various screens. His phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Check tomorrow's headline, Durham Dynasty's Dark Secret. The truth behind the offshore millions? Your move. William opened his drawer, removing his black notebook. Inside, contingency plans waited, plans within plans, each more devastating than the last. Let them think they had one. Let them celebrate their momentary advantage. They had no idea what true ruthlessness looked like. The real war was about to begin. Chapter 7. Rebuilding the Empire. William Waters surveyed the wreckage of what had once been Glenn's office, now stripped bare of personal effects. His brother's nameplate lay discarded in the trash, along with framed accolades and family photos. The trading division reports are ready, Luis announced from the doorway. We've implemented your new oversight protocols. And the employees? Those loyal to Glenn have been terminated. Security escorted the last group out this morning. William nodded, running his hand along the empty desk. Have everything moved to storage. This space will become our new compliance department. In the outer office, staff scurried to avoid his gaze as he passed. Their fear was palpable, a natural response to watching their former colleagues dismissed without mercy. Those who remained understood survival meant absolute loyalty. Sir, Marcia intercepted him near the elevator. The board approved your transparency initiative. All executive bonuses will be returned and redistributed to employee pension funds. Make sure PR emphasizes the voluntary nature of the returns, William replied. We're not admitting wrongdoing. We're demonstrating leadership. And those who refused to return their bonuses? William's smile carried no warmth. Remind them about the ongoing SEC investigation. How unfortunate it would be if certain documents came to light. In the lobby, he passed the Wall Street Journal's latest headline, Durham Financial Rises from Ashes. New CEO implements sweeping reforms. The article praised his decisive leadership while diplomatically avoiding mention of Glenn's disgrace. His phone buzzed, a message from his father's nurse. Mr. Durham requests a visit. His condition has stabilized. William found Hal in the hospital's private wing, looking frail against white sheets. Medical equipment beeped steadily, monitoring the heart that had nearly betrayed him. William. Hal's voice was weak but clear. Come to gloat? I came to check on your recovery. William remained standing, hands clasped behind his back. The company needs a smooth transition. Smooth? Hal laughed, then coughed. You destroyed your brother, exiled your wife, and seized control through blackmail. I'd hate to see your definition of rough. You taught us business is war. William's voice hardened. I simply proved the better general. I taught you to protect the family name. Hal struggled to sit up. Instead, you've torn us apart. No, father. You did that when you chose Glenn over me at birth. William moved closer, looming over the bed. When you dismissed my work while praising his empty charm. When you planned to hand him everything I built. And now? Hal gestured weakly at himself. What's left of your victory? A broken old man? A brother in exile? A wife who hates you? Now I have what I earned. William checked his watch. The board meeting starts in an hour. We're voting on your retirement package. William. Hal's voice stopped him at the door. In that drawer. There's something you should see. William opened the bedside drawer, finding a worn photograph. It showed him and Glenn as children, arms around each other, matching grins splitting their faces. Remember who you were, Hal whispered. Before ambition poisoned everything. William stared at the photo for a long moment before placing it back in the drawer. That boy died the day his brother betrayed him. Back at the office, he found Juana waiting in his private conference room. She wore simple clothes now, her designer wardrobe sold to pay living expenses. The charity assignment, she said without preamble. I'll take it. William studied her, noting the shadows under her eyes, the slight tremor in her hands. Why? Because I need purpose. She met his gaze steadily. Because I need to rebuild something from these ruins. You understand the terms? Minimum 5-year commitment. Regular audits. One mistake and you'll destroy what little I have left. Juana's laugh held no humor. Yes, William. I understand how you operate now. He slid a contract across the table. Sign. And Juana? Don't mistake this for forgiveness. Trust me. She grabbed the pen. I don't. Later, reviewing security footage, William watched Juana exit the building. His phone buzzed with messages. From Luis. Carrie McKenna requesting follow-up interview Company reforms. From Marcia. Glenn spotted in Singapore. Attempting to access Asian markets. From Roman. Considering your job offer. Terms negotiable. William deleted them all, focusing instead on the quarterly projections. Under his leadership, the company had not merely survived, it had thrived. Stock prices soared as investors responded to his transparent policies and ethical initiatives. Mr. Waters? His assistant's voice came through the intercom. Your 4 o'clock is here. The Louise Craig Foundation board members? William straightened his tie, preparing to meet the people who would help cement his legacy. Louis's sacrifice deserved recognition. A scholarship fund ensuring his name lived on through generations of technological innovation. The boardroom fell silent as he entered. These people had witnessed his ruthless rise to power, had seen him destroy those who opposed him. Now they watched him channel that same determination into rebuilding. Ladies and gentlemen, he began. His voice carrying authority earned through combat. Today we honor a man who understood that true power lies not in destruction, but in creation. Outside his window, the city stretched endlessly, filled with opportunities and threats. Let them whisper about his methods, his ruthlessness. History wrote itself in bold strokes, and William Waters intended to paint his legacy in colors that would never fade. The empire he'd reclaimed was just the beginning. The real work, the work of reshaping the financial world in his image, lay ahead, and this time, no one would dare stand in his way. Through the glass walls, he watched his employees working diligently. Their fear of him mingled with respect. They had learned what Glenn and Juana discovered too late. Crossing William Waters meant total annihilation. His phone buzzed one final time. An email from Glenn's private account. "Brother, you've won. The throne is yours. But remember this. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely." William deleted the message without replying. He didn't need lectures on power from a man who had lost everything. He had transcended mere victory or revenge. This was evolution, survival of the fittest in its purest form. The sun set over his domain, painting the sky in shades of ambition. William Waters stood at its center, a king among ruins he would rebuild in his own image. The past lay buried. The future stretched unlimited before him. Let them call him ruthless. Let them whisper about the cost of his triumph. In the end, only results mattered. And results he had in abundance. Chapter 8. Facing the Past. The marble headstone bore Louise Craig's name in stark relief against the morning light. William stood before it, his customary mask of control slipping slightly. "You should have seen the foundation launch," he spoke quietly. "Your vision for supporting young technologists? It's becoming reality." A twig snapped behind him. William didn't turn. Still visiting him? Marcia approached, laying flowers beside William's elaborate wreath. After all this time, he was loyal. William's voice carried an edge. "Unlike others. Is that why you're here? Loyalty?" "I'm here because actions have consequences." William straightened his tie. Luis understood that. He chose his path knowing the risks. "And the guilt doesn't eat at you?" Marcia studied his profile. Using him as a scapegoat? Guilt implies regret. William turned to face her. "I regret nothing." At her charity office, Juana sorted through applications from struggling families. Her designer lifestyle had been replaced by practical business attire, her mansion traded for a small apartment. "Mrs. Waters?" Her assistant poked her head in. "The budget report for the children's program needs your signature." Juana reached for the papers, then froze. "Sarah, please. Call me Juana." "Mrs. Waters. That life is over." "Not according to the press." Sarah placed a newspaper on her desk. The headline read, "Durham Financial's former CEO wife leads charitable revolution." "William's doing," Juana muttered. "Making sure everyone knows he's reformed me." "Is that so bad?" "The work you're doing here." "The work is genuine." Juana's hands clenched. "But make no mistake, this is my prison. A gilded cage built by a husband I betrayed." In her downtown office, Carrie McKenna reviewed her notes for her upcoming book. The story of the Durham dynasty had captivated readers, earning her accolades and death threats in equal measure. Her phone rang, William's private number. "Miss McKenna." His voice carried its usual controlled power. "I understand you're planning a follow-up piece. The public wants to know how you transformed the company." Carrie kept her tone professional. "Your journey from revenge to redemption." "Let's be clear," William cut in. "This isn't a redemption story. It's a lesson in consequences." "And what lesson would that be?" "That mercy is a luxury reserved for the weak." A pause. "You've been fair in your coverage, Miss McKenna. I trust that will continue." The threat lay unspoken but clear. Across the city, Shauna sat in her therapist's office, unraveling the weight of her actions. "I betrayed both brothers," she admitted. "Played both sides, thinking I could control the outcome. And now? Shauna laughed bitterly. "Now I watch William succeed, knowing I helped create this version of him. The man who turns betrayal into strength." Her phone buzzed. A message from William. "Dinner tonight? We should discuss your role in the company's future." Her hands shook as she typed acceptance. The predator had become protector, but his claws remained sharp. Meanwhile, Glenn's latest message to his father returned undelivered. From his exile in Singapore, he watched his brother's empire grow through news feeds and market reports. "Your brother's latest acquisition," his assistant noted, "just made headlines." Durham Financial now controls 30% of Asian markets. He's not stopping, Glenn murmured. The company isn't enough. He wants global dominance. Sir? The assistant hesitated. There's something else. Mr. Waters, he's been buying properties here. In Singapore, Glenn's blood ran cold. Even here, William's shadow lengthened. Back in New York, William presided over a board meeting, his authority absolute. The merger proceeds as planned, he announced. Those who opposed it have been persuaded to reconsider. Board members nodded nervously, remembering how previous opposition had ended in professional suicide. There's one other matter, William continued. The Louise Craig Foundation's latest initiative. We're expanding into international markets. The costs, a board member began, are irrelevant. William's tone ended discussion. Louise's legacy will reach globally. I made a promise. After the meeting, Marcia lingered. You've changed the company's entire culture. Fear mixed with admiration. It's quite the achievement. Fear ensures compliance, William replied. Admiration ensures loyalty. And what ensures happiness? William's laugh held no warmth. Happiness is for people who never had to fight for survival. His phone buzzed, Shauna confirming dinner. Their relationship had evolved from manipulation to something resembling trust, though William never forgot her role in the past. Sir, Louise's replacement appeared with urgent news. We've traced more attempts to access the old accounts. The source is Singapore. William didn't look up from his papers. Glenn's getting desperate.
Let him try.
Should we block the attempts?
No.
William smiled coldly. Let him think he's being clever. Every move he makes draws him closer to total destruction. In his private office, William reviewed the day's reports. Company stock had reached record highs. His reforms, though brutal in implementation, had created an unassailable corporate fortress. Juana's charity work garnered positive press. Glenn's exile removed the last threat to his authority. Even his father's death had been turned to advantage, the old man's funeral becoming a symbol of corporate renewal. A message from Carrie McKenna appeared, final draft ready for review. Your remarkable transformation. William deleted it without reading further. Transformation suggested change. He hadn't changed, he'd evolved, shed weaknesses like dead skin. The phone rang again. Shauna. William? Her voice held a note of concern. Are you sure about dinner? Today's the anniversary of Louise's sacrifice, he finished. Yes, I know. All the more reason to discuss the future. He ended the call, turning to the window. Below, the city pulsed with life and opportunity. His empire grew daily, fed by the fear and respect he'd cultivated. The past couldn't be changed, but it could be shaped into a weapon. Every betrayal, every loss, had forged him into something unstoppable. Let them write their stories of redemption. The truth was simpler. Power, once tasted, demanded more. And William Waters had developed an insatiable appetite. The sun set on another day of absolute control. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities for dominance. But for now, William allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. He had one. Not just the company, not just revenge, but the very game of power itself. And he intended to keep playing, keep winning, until his name became synonymous with unstoppable force. The past could stay buried. The future belonged to him. Chapter 9. A New Beginning. 1 year after reclaiming his company, William Waters sat in his expanded office suite, reviewing the empire he'd built from the ashes of betrayal. Quarterly reports showed record profits, while his reformation initiatives had transformed Durham Financial into a beacon of corporate governance. The latest numbers, sir. His new assistant placed a tablet before him. We've exceeded projections by 40%. William scanned the figures, noting how each division now operated. No trace remained of Glenn's chaotic management style or the old guard's inefficiencies. His phone buzzed with a notification from Juana's nonprofit, Women's Financial Education Program launches nationwide. He opened the attached report. Juana had transformed her punishment into a genuine mission, helping women escape financial dependence. Her quarterly audits showed impeccable management. She'd learned the price of mistakes. Sir, Marcia entered without knocking. Her privilege earned through proven loyalty. The international expansion team needs your decision on the Singapore merger. William's lips curved slightly. Has Glenn made his move yet? As predicted. He's trying to block the merger through local connections. Perfect. William pulled up a document on his screen. Release this to the Singapore authorities. Marcia scanned the file, her eyes widening. This will destroy his remaining assets. He chose to play in my territory. William's voice held no emotion. Now he pays the price. Later that afternoon, Shauna entered his office, now comfortable in her role as both confidant and partner. The travel arrangements are confirmed. The board responds well to these private retreats. Fear and luxury, William noted. A powerful combination. Speaking of power, Shauna placed a newspaper on his desk. Carrie McKenna's latest article praised Durham Financial's transformation under his leadership. She writes what we allow her to write, William said dismissively. The truth would be less palatable. His computer chimed with an urgent message. The Louise Craig Foundation had received major funding from international tech giants, expanding its reach globally. Arrange a press conference, he told Shauna. It's time to announce the foundation's expansion. In her modest nonprofit office, Juana reviewed applications for their scholarship program. A notification popped up. William had doubled their funding. Her assistant gasped. This is incredible. We can help so many more women. Yes, Juana interrupted, her voice tight. That's exactly what he wants everyone to think. She understood the game now. Each charitable act, each public display of generosity, reinforced William's image as a reformed corporate titan. Her role was to validate his transformation, while never forgetting who held the power. Across the world, Glenn stared at his frozen accounts, his Singapore empire crumbling. A letter arrived, plain white envelope, expensive paper. Dear brother, consider this mercy. You still breathe. W. Glenn's hands shook as he reached for his phone, dialing a number he'd sworn never to use. William, we need to talk. No, Glenn. William's voice carried across continents. We needed to talk years ago, before you chose betrayal. I'm sorry. The words cost Glenn his remaining pride. Sorry. William's laugh held Arctic chill. Sorry is for children who break toys. You broke trust. The consequences are permanent. The line went dead, leaving Glenn alone with his regrets. Back in New York, William prepared for a family dinner, a calculated display of reconciliation. The guest list was precise. Juana, representing redemption through submission. Shauna, proof that loyalty brought rewards. Even Glenn would attend via video call, a reminder to all of the price of defiance. The press will be discreet, Marcia assured him. Just enough coverage to reinforce the narrative. William adjusted his tie, studying his reflection. And our other initiative? The Global Economic Reform Proposal? Ready for announcement. He nodded, satisfied. The proposal would reshape international finance, with Durham Financial at its heart. Power beyond mere corporate control. He would influence nations. The dinner proceeded like a perfectly orchestrated ballet. Juana discussed her charitable work, her practiced humility masking old wounds. Shauna managed conversations with professional grace, while Glenn's video presence served as a silent warning. A toast, William raised his glass. To family. The words carried layers of meaning. Family. Once his weakness, now transformed into strength. Each person at the table had played a role in his rise, willingly or not. Later that night, alone in his office, William reviewed his empire. Stock tickers showed global markets responding to his will. Surveillance feeds displayed his influence reaching into every corner of the financial world. A message from Carrie appeared, final book draft attached. Your story will inspire generations. William smiled. Let them see inspiration. Let them think he'd found redemption. The truth was simpler. He transcended conventional morality. Right and wrong meant nothing compared to power and its application. His phone buzzed one final time. An anonymous message. You've become what you hated. William deleted it without hesitation. He hadn't become anything. He'd evolved, adapted, conquered. The weak version of himself had died in betrayal's fires. What emerged was something stronger, purer. Beyond his window, the city glittered with possibilities. His empire stretched globally, his influence reshaping the very nature of finance. Yet power brought no satisfaction, only hunger for more. Shauna found him there, silhouetted against the cityscape. Ready to leave? William turned, his expression unreadable. There's always more to do. The company runs itself. The foundation thrives. Glenn's neutralized. Juana's contained. What more do you want? Want? William's smile held no warmth. This was never about want. It's about never being vulnerable again. Together they descended to his waiting car, the city bowing before his passage. William Waters had transcended revenge, transcended business, transcended family ties. He'd become something new, a force of nature, bound by no laws but those he chose to acknowledge. The future stretched before him, an endless field of opportunities for dominance. Let others write tales of redemption. His story was simpler. Power, absolute and unyielding, wielded by a man who'd learned that mercy was a weakness he could no longer afford. The game would continue. The empire would grow. And William Waters would remain what betrayal had forged him into: untouchable, unforgiving, unstoppable. The end was just another beginning. Epilogue: Legacy of Power. 10 years later. The Wall Street Journal's headline blared across digital screens worldwide. Durham Financial CEO William Waters named most influential figure in global finance, a decade of dominance. In his expanded office suite atop the newly constructed Waters Tower, William reviewed the article with clinical detachment. At 55, his hair had grayed at the temples, adding gravitas to his already commanding presence. Time had only sharpened his edges, honed his instincts for power. The board approval came through, Shauna announced, entering his office. Their relationship had evolved over the decade. She now served as both wife and chief strategy officer, their marriage a calculated alliance that proved surprisingly durable. Singapore? William didn't look up from his tablet. Complete acquisition. Glenn's last holdout has fallen. Shauna settled into her usual chair. He sent another letter. William's expression didn't change. Burn it. The past decade had seen Durham Financial transform into Waters Global, a financial empire that controlled markets across 6 continents. William's ethical initiatives had become industry standards, though insiders knew his reformation masked an iron grip on power. His phone buzzed, Marcia Goodman's number. Now semi-retired, but still his most trusted advisor. The Louise Craig Foundation's 20th anniversary gala, she reminded him. Press is expecting your appearance. The foundation had grown beyond its origins, funding technological innovation worldwide. Louise's sacrifice had built an empire of its own, though few remembered the true story behind its creation. Across town, Juana Waters, she'd never legally changed her name, presided over the Global Women's Financial Empowerment Institute. Her punishment had become her redemption, though she never forgot who held the purse strings. The latest audit report, Mrs. Waters, her assistant placed a thick folder on her desk. Juana nodded, knowing William's accountants would scrutinize every penny. A decade of perfect compliance had earned her autonomy but never freedom. Her institute helped thousands of women escape financial dependence, an irony not lost on its founder. The Singapore News, her assistant hesitated. Should we reach out to Mr. Durham? Glenn made his choices, Juana replied sharply. Their brief affair had cost them everything. Her marriage, his future, their dignity. In a modest Singapore apartment, Glenn Durham watched his last business venture crumble. A decade of rebuilding, of careful maneuvering, erased by his brother's relentless expansion. His phone contained a decade of unsent messages to William. Brother, we were family once. The empire you built, was it worth the cost? Some wounds never heal. None sent, none answered. William's victory had been total, his revenge absolute. Carrie McKenna's latest book, The Waters Dynasty, Power and Principle in Modern Finance, sat half-finished on her laptop. The decade had revealed new layers to William's transformation, though the true story remained buried in silence and NDAs. At the Louise Craig Foundation headquarters, William's presence commanded immediate attention. The annual scholarship ceremony had become a major event in the tech world. Mr. Waters, a young programmer approached, clutching her award. Your foundation changed my life. William nodded, his public mask perfectly calibrated. Let them see the benevolent patron, the reformed titan. Only his inner circle knew the steel beneath the philanthropy. Back in his office, William reviewed his empire's latest expansion. Waters Global now controlled 40% of global financial markets. The world's largest technological education network. Strategic interests in emerging AI development. Political influence across major economies. Sir, his assistant interrupted. Mr. Roman Hewitt's daughter is requesting an interview. For her thesis on corporate ethics. William's lips curved slightly. Roman had disappeared a decade ago, another casualty of choosing the wrong side. His daughter's request was either very brave or very foolish. Decline, he instructed. Politely, Shauna studied him from her position by the window. The board suggests we should soften your image. A decade of fear-based respect. Fear works. William cut her off. Fear built this empire. Fear keeps it running. Their marriage worked because Shauna understood him. She'd watched his transformation from betrayed husband to corporate emperor. She knew the cost of weakness. The Louise Craig Foundation Gala drew global elite to New York. William's speech was perfectly crafted. A decade ago, we made a promise. To honor innovation. To reward loyalty. To build something lasting. The crowd applauded, not hearing the steel beneath his words. Loyalty. Honor. The principles that had forged his empire through fire. Later that night, reviewing global operations, William received an alert. Glenn had finally left Singapore, destination unknown. Should we track him? Shauna asked. No need. William's voice held no emotion. He's irrelevant now. The decade had proven him right. Power wasn't about revenge. It was about control. Total, absolute, unquestioned. His empire had grown beyond mere finance. The Waters Institute for Economic Policy shaped global financial regulations. Waters Tech Ventures controlled the future of digital innovation. The Waters Global Security Division protected interests across continents. Each division operated, enforcing his will through layers of perfectly legal control. Juana's Institute received its annual review. Her work had genuinely helped thousands, though each success reinforced William's narrative of redemption through submission. The Singapore Women's Center proposal, her deputy director began. Approved. Juana interrupted. She learned to choose her battles. This center would help women escape exactly the kind of financial trap she'd lived in. Carrie McKenna's research revealed interesting patterns. Companies opposing Waters Global mysteriously lost market share. Politicians challenging Williams' initiatives faced unexpected scandals. Journalists investigating too deeply found their careers stalling. Yet no direct connection ever led back to William. He learned to weaponize legality itself. The Waters Tower crowned New York's skyline, a monument to power accumulated through perfect control. Inside his private office, William reviewed his legacy. His company reshaped global finance daily. His foundation controlled technological innovation worldwide. His institute guided social policy through strategic philanthropy. His influence reached into every sphere of power. Yet power brought no satisfaction, only hunger for more. Each victory opened new territories for conquest, new realms for control. Shauna managed their public image. Charitable initiatives masked strategic acquisitions. Educational programs created loyal networks. Social causes provided perfect cover for power consolidation. Their marriage worked because she never forgot the lesson of Glenn and Juana. Betrayal earned destruction, loyalty bought power. The Louise Craig Foundation had grown beyond its origins. Global scholarship programs created indebted allies. Research grants shaped technological development. Innovation prizes directed entire industries. Louis's sacrifice had built an empire of influence, his name a banner for Williams' controlled revolution. Juana's Institute represented perfect irony, teaching women financial independence, while its founder remained bound by golden chains. Her success measuring her submission. She transformed punishment into purpose, never forgetting who held true power. Glenn's decade of exile had taught him harsh lessons. Power respected only power. Family meant nothing against ambition. Some defeats could never be reversed. His disappearance marked the end of an era, the last trace of William's past erased. The Water's Global Security Division monitored it all. Market movements suggesting competition, political shifts threatening control, personal threats to empire or legacy. Each potential threat eliminated legally, efficiently, completely. William's influence reached beyond mere business. Politicians sought his approval. Regulations shaped to his needs. Markets moving to his will. Power had become its own purpose, control its own reward. The decade had proved his philosophy. Trust was weakness. Loyalty required fear. Power demanded perfect control. His empire stood as testament to these truths. Shauna understood her role perfectly. Partner in power. Manager of empire. Guardian of legacy. Their marriage worked because it served power's purpose. The Water's Tower rose above the city, its shadow touching all. Financial districts bowing to its influence. Political circles orbiting its power. Social spheres shaped by its will. William Waters had transcended mere victory. He'd become a force of nature, reshaping reality to his vision. The future stretched endless before him. New territories for conquest. New realms for control. New powers to master. This was his legacy. Not revenge, not empire, but perfect, absolute control. Let others write stories of redemption. His tale was simpler. Power, once tasted, demanded more. Control, once gained, required expansion. Empire, once built, needed constant growth. The decade had proven him right. Trust was weakness. Love was liability. Power alone endured. William Waters stood atop his tower, surveying his domain. The betrayed husband had become corporate emperor, the wounded man transformed to unstoppable force. The future belonged to him, not through revenge, not through hatred, but through perfect, absolute control. His empire would grow. His power would expand. His control would reach further. The game would never end. The hunger would never fade. The power would never satisfy. This was his legacy. Not redemption, not forgiveness, but power absolute and eternal. The epilogue of revenge had become prologue to empire. The end of betrayal had birthed era of control. The death of trust had forged kingdom of power. William Waters had transcended story itself. He'd become legend. He'd become power incarnate. And power, true power, never ended. It only grew. Forever. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.